In a small, snow-covered town, a retired and widowed teacher spends yet another Christmas alone until the unexpected visit of a very kind boy changes everything. Get ready for an emotional story from Christmas Tales. Swirls of Christmas lights form a spiral. The snow was falling in silence, covering the narrow streets of the small town like a blanket of quiet. Inside Angela's house, the only light came from an old lamp casting a soft glow over a table set for just one person. The steam rising from the soup seemed to fill the empty space around her, but not enough to warm the loneliness that had accompanied all her Christmases. She was adjusting the napkin beside the plate when she heard a gentle knock on the door. It wasn't common for her to receive visitors, much less on that night. For a moment she considered ignoring it, but something in that sound, shy, almost a plea, made her get up. When she opened the door, she found Liam, her 11-year-old neighbor, wearing a coat far too big for him and with cheeks reddened by the cold. In his hands, he held a Christmas dessert wrapped with childlike care. "Hi, I brought a dessert," the boy said. Angela felt her heart tighten, though her face remained rigid. The scene seemed out of place in the stillness of her home, two solitudes facing each other on Christmas Eve. Angela wasn't mean. She never had been, but in the small town where she had chosen to hide from the world, children watched her from a distance, always with a certain unease. Her steps were firm, her gestures curt, her words measured. She always seemed too busy, too serious, too distant for anyone to try getting close. No one there knew her story. When she arrived many years earlier, she already wore somber clothes, walked with her gaze lowered, and carried with her only 2 suitcases and a picture frame wrapped in newspaper. There was no husband, no children, no explanations. The truth was different, deep, delicate, kept in silence. Angela had been a teacher for decades. She loved teaching, she loved children, and she loved her husband Thomas more than anything in the world. Christmas was their favorite time of year. He set up a small illuminated village in the living room while she baked spiced cookies that left the house smelling wonderful for days. But the war took Thomas. First, it took him far away. Then, it didn't bring him back. And Angela, who had tried to be strong, who kept teaching, who smiled at her students while something inside her came undone, began shrinking year after year. Christmas, once full of light, turned grey. The table that used to be full became too large for just one person. When she finally retired, the loneliness became even more evident. The days were quiet, but the December nights were almost unbearable. That was why no youthful smile dared cross her path, not out of malice, but because sadness sometimes builds an invisible wall. Until that night, until that knock on the door. What comes next in this story will warm your heart. If you also love Christmas tales filled with hope, subscribe here to Christmas Tales and get ready for an emotional ending. Back to the story. Liam held the dessert as if it were a treasure. The simple wrapping had crooked ribbons, but there was such pure intention in it that even the snow seemed to fall more slowly. Angela looked at the dessert, then at the boy, and felt something stir in her chest, an old discomfort shaped by memories and the fear of feeling again. "You don't need to do that, kid. Take it back home," she said, not allowing her voice to waver. And before he could answer, she closed the door. The silence that settled back into the room felt colder than the wind outside. Angela tried to resume her dinner, but something was out of place. The silverware felt heavier. The table seemed even smaller. The house, emptier. Restless, she walked to the window. That was when she saw him. Liam, sitting on the steps of his house, holding the untouched dessert, eyes watering, chin trembling as he fought back tears. Liam's mother, Susan, was a nurse and was on shift that night. They had just moved to town after his parents' separation, and Susan was struggling financially and had no one to leave Liam with. The sight hit Angela with the force of a forgotten memory. Thomas laughing as he hung the Christmas lights, the gentle flicker of candle flames, the tight hug before he left for the war. And the final letter, the one she had never been able to throw away. For a moment she closed her eyes. The old pain blended with the present, and for the first time in many years, something inside her asked to change. She grabbed her coat, took a deep breath, and opened the door. She crossed the street in small, almost hesitant steps, like someone trying to relearn an old gesture of kindness. She knocked on Liam's door, not with her usual stiffness, but with the tenderness of someone carrying a silent request for forgiveness. Right there, in that simple walk, the first miracle had already begun. When Susan came home from her shift exhausted and with her face marked by fatigue, she expected to find the house dark, her son asleep, and the typical loneliness of recent months. But when she opened the door, she froze. Liam was sitting at the table, laughing softly, and beside him, sitting upright with misty eyes, was Angela. There were warmed plates, 2 mugs of hot chocolate, and the dessert the boy had tried to give her earlier. Susan brought a hand to her chest, unable to hide her emotion. "Mom!" Liam exclaimed, jumping from his chair and running to hug her. "Miss Susan, thank you for inviting me for Christmas," Angela said, her voice carrying a touch of joy. Angela stood up slowly. In her hands she held an old notebook, its cover worn with time. "I used this with my students many years ago, but I think he'll make better use of it now," she said, handing the notebook to Liam. The boy hugged it as if holding a piece of light. Susan thanked her in silence. There are things only the heart understands. The next morning, Angela found a small envelope at her door. Inside, a thank you note written in trembling handwriting said, "Thank you for not leaving me alone on Christmas Eve." The following Christmas, Angela's table had 3 plates, new laughter, and a different kind of light coming through the window. Healing at last had found its way. If this story touched your heart, share this message of hope with someone you love and join us at Christmas Tales, a place where stories warm the soul and the heart.